opportunity, giving me this opportunity to have this session. I would really encourage as many of you as possible, if you can, please switch on your videos. I'm going to try to make this session as interactive as possible so that, it's not just me talking to you, it's an interactive back and forth discussion, because the session today is called Lead with Purpose. And, I firmly believe that we are all teachers and learners at the same time. So as much as I'm here to try to teach you a little bit about leadership and leading with purpose, I think that we can all learn from each other. I can learn a lot from you all as well, and other people in this session also can learn from you. So I know that maybe you're not required to switch on your videos on the other sessions, but please do try to switch it on if you can on this session. I can give you a few minutes, maybe if you're like, you have to quickly change your clothes or quickly go somewhere. That's better for you to switch on your videos. But I would love it if I could see you all. It's better than me talking to a computer. Before I continue, can everybody hear me clearly? Is there any issues with my connection? Guys, please, I would love if you would respond. If you can't switch on your video, you can just switch on your mic and speak. I really would love this to be, oh, hello. Thank you so much, Mr. Godagama, for switching on your video. Favorite student already. Anybody else who can switch on their videos and follow Mr. Godagama? He's a true leader, guys. He's leading the way. Okay, right, so I'm going to start the session. Like I mentioned, the session is called Lead with Purpose. So, okay, you guys can see this, right? Yeah, I assume that you can. I can't really see the... Wait, let me try to do this in a way that I can also see the messages and stuff at the same time. Okay, maybe I will just... Yeah, okay, instead of... I'm just going to do it like this, guys, so that I can also see all of your messages and everything at the same time. I'm not too worried about how the presentation looks. It's more about the content that I'm sharing with you that matters, right? Okay, let's get started. So like I mentioned, today's session is called Lead with Purpose. It's all about figuring out your purpose when it comes to not just leadership, but just planning out the rest of your lives. Ms. Sanjeevani has mentioned that you guys are all post-O-level students, so you're at the stage in your life where you're trying to figure out what's next and how exactly you need to make those decisions, right? So in this session, we're going to figure out how to understand this magic word called purpose, and how it can help us as future leaders to achieve our personal goals, right? So let me just, try to get all of you involved in this conversation. Why don't I start? It seems like most people don't want to speak, so why don't I start with something else? Can I request that you all stand up, okay? You don't have to switch on your videos. I will never know if you're actually doing it or not. But please, just to get your energy flowing, to get you excited about this session, can I ask that you all stand up? Okay, this is me standing. And is everybody standing? Are people standing? I will never know if you are or not, so you can lie if you want to. But okay, if you're standing, let's just do like 5 jumping jacks just to get the energy flowing. Okay, I'm going to assume that you all did the jumping jacks because now I'm going to start with a question, right? Can a couple of people just switch on your mics and tell me, maybe in one short sentence, what does leadership mean to you? Does anybody want to start? If maybe somebody can, if you don't want to speak out, you can also type it in the chat. What does leadership mean to you? It can be just one short, it can be one word.
Guiding a team or an individual.
Yeah, great. So guiding. That's a good...
To achieve some goal.
Yeah. So guiding a team to achieve a goal. Does anybody else want to add anything to that? Some other aspect of leadership? Okay, so Neha says being an example on the chat. You can also send me messages on the chat. But yeah, thank you, Neha. And I mean, I just see your initials, so I probably will continue calling you Mr. Godagam unless you tell me your name. So thank you, Neha. Thank you, Mr. Godagam. Yeah. So let me go back to sharing. Okay. So yeah, so we had being an example, we had guiding a team to a common goal. Um, Guys, there are no right or wrong answers in this session. Like I said, all of us can learn from each other. So please feel free to switch on your mic and speak at any time. I really would prefer it if you even interrupted me while I'm speaking to say what you want to say so that we can keep the conversation flowing. I don't want to be a lecturer and like for you all to sit down and listen to every word I say. I want this to be an interactive session, okay? Okay, so the most important part of this session today is this thing called a story. I will tie this all back into leading with purpose at the end, and you will understand then. But until then, um, I just want you all to think about your life story so far. So any turning points that you've had in your life where you've learned a new lesson or developed a new skill. You know, everyone here, post-O-level students must be around 16, 17, 18. So all these years, from the time that you were born up to today, you know, think I was born in this place, and then at this age, I started school, at this age, blah, blah, blah. I'll give you an example. I'll share my life path story as well. But I just want you to think about your life path story and take a few minutes to map it out or think about it in your head. So you could take a piece of paper and write it down. I have done that. And I'll share it with you in a few minutes. But the whole idea is of this starting the session with this exercise is because I want you to understand the power of your life story in shaping the dreams we have and figuring out our purpose, right? Later on in the session, you will understand, but it's very important. I want you to take it very seriously. You know, thinking about your story is important when you're 15 or 25 or 80 even. So I just want you to, you know, while you're working on this, I want you to think about your story so far. I want you to come back and tell us. I want a couple of you to tell us. So people who haven't spoken yet, now is your chance. And yeah, so let me share my life path story with you all so that you have an example. And while I do, you can think about your own story as well and start mapping it out, right? So this is my life path diagram. How do I? Okay. Now my background is no longer bright, but this is my diagram that I drew in the 5 minutes that we waited for more people to join this session. So it can also take you only 5 minutes, right? So I was born in 1998. There's a little milk bottle there. And then in 2001, so this is, I think, the turning points and the most important parts of my life. So just take this as an example. You can do your life path story in a different way also. But just is an example of how to think about it, right? So in 2001, yeah, I went to HFC, HFC Bambalapitiya. But yeah, so in 2001, I went to Golden Glow Montessori. And then in 2004, I started school at HFC. And then, so like my life was going pretty, I mean, I don't remember much from this time because not a lot of people remember their life at that point in their life, right? But around 2008, I had a small dip where things started to go a little downhill because I have a cousin, a first cousin, who is my age. She's my mom's sister's daughter. And she went to HFC with me as well, but then she moved to Singapore and she was my bestest friend. We did everything together and she moved away. So there was a dip. But then things started looking up again in my life because I realized that she was a little bit bigger than me size-wise. I'm a small person. She was a little bit bigger than me. She was a little bit louder than me. So she would dominate a lot of what we were doing in school and in class. And I realized after she left, hey, I'm actually better than her at things. Like, I think I genuinely used to, as a child, run slower than her because I thought that she was supposed to beat me at the races. And then she left school and I started winning things. I started winning all of my races. I started doing better in class. I started doing better in dancing or whatever extracurricular activities I did. So even though I was sad that my best friend was away, the fact that she was no longer there to like have somehow or the other, I had instilled in my mind that I was supposed to be worse than her. And then I started doing well. So then my life story goes a little higher up, and up to the point of 2010, which is when I started running competitively for HFC as an athlete. We just kind of were required to do it if you were winning medals in school, right? And then I was doing okay in school until 2012, when my sister decided she finished her O levels at HFC and she wanted to do her A levels somewhere else. So she found this school called Elizabeth Moyer School, and she applied for a scholarship and she got it. She got a 75% scholarship to study for A levels there. And when Mrs. Moyer was talking to my parents about, my sister starting school, she told my parents, "Oh, do you have any other daughters who's interested in joining?" And then Mama and Dada came to me and they were like, "You should, sit for this scholarship exam. Maybe you'll get a good scholarship. Who knows, right?" And I was like, "No, I want to stay at HFC. All my friends are here. Or like, I like school, blah, blah, blah." They're like, "No, but if you sit for this exam, you might even be able to, go to a university abroad somewhere because this school is an international school. They can help you." So now I was like, "Whoa, my mind is blown. That's crazy." Like, at that time, it didn't even seem like an option to me. So then I sat for the exam and I got the scholarship and I started going to Moyer. And as you can see, Moya was a little bit of a roller coaster ride for me. There were highs when I was starting out. It was all exciting. It was this new school. It was an international school. They did a lot more extracurricular activities in HFC. There was a lot of like fun things going on. School was from 8 a.m. to 3:40 p.m. So we had lunch at school. Like, it was very different and very exciting. But at the same time, so I got the scholarship. That meant that there was a lot of people in my class who immediately started competing with me for how well we did in class, all of those things, right? So then, there was a lot of competition. I was not used to it. In HFC, people were just happy to be your friend and happy that you were doing well. At Moya, people always wanted to be better than you. And then, of course, I kept winning these are my drawings. They're not that great, guys, but I'm trying to convey a message, right? There are like cups and medals that I won, but then at the same time there was bullying. So it was a little bit of a roller coaster. And then in 2016, which is one of the biggest turning points of my life, I got into Harvard, which is where I went for my undergraduate studies. So that was a big turning point of my life in 2016. And I got in 2015 in December, and I started school in 2016 in May. So I got in early, which is an option when you apply to US universities. If anyone has any questions about that, don't forget to send me messages about it. I'm always available. But this session is about leadership, so we're not going to talk too much about university applications yet, right? So it was a big turning point in my life, and then things were looking really up. So all of the problems that I faced at Moyer with like not getting along with some people, bullying, it didn't really happen to me at Harvard. I felt like I found my people. Everybody there was brilliant, used to being the best at what they do, or like one of the best at what they do in whatever country. Not saying, and I don't genuinely firmly but don't believe that I was not the best student in Sri Lanka in my year. There probably were so many thousands of other people who were better than me. I was just really lucky to get into Harvard that year. And unfortunately, that school only accepts one Sri Lankan each year or no Sri Lankans. So I was very lucky, and I admit that. And I think going to Moyer really paved the way for me to apply to that school and get in and all of those things. But discussion for another time. But yeah, so things were looking up. I was having some great 4 years at Harvard while I was there. And I was doing research so I study physics and chemistry at Harvard. So I was doing research at a lab, laser research, and it was like this groundbreaking stuff. And I was having a really good time. And that was in 2018. And then 2019, April happened. And every Sri Lankan knows what happened at that time with the Easter bombings. And I can remember it was one of the scariest days of my life because I'm sure some of you will remember that there was a social media blackout at that time in Colombo, in Sri Lanka, because of all the misinformation that was going on. So it was nighttime for me. And I started getting all these alerts from CNN and BBC about these. And I tried calling my parents. I called them on WhatsApp usually, and nobody was picking up. And I was so scared. I was like, what has happened? Why is no one in my family picking up? Why is no one getting my calls? And that was a big turning point for me in my life, because I was like, what am I doing? Like, I'm at Harvard, like I've been given this crazy opportunity. I have this physics knowledge. I'm, relatively good at my studies. Why am I looking at lasers? Like, how is this helping anyone in the real world, what I'm doing? How, what am I doing with my life? Why am I looking at lasers and atoms and supercooling and, all of those things? So then I decided that, and it was like, I like had a low point in my life for a few months. And then luckily by about May 2019, I was thinking about switching labs, the lab that I was working at. And I found a lab that was doing still physics research, but related to cancer. And I was like, finally, something that I can use my skills and my knowledge for to actually help people. So then it turned again, and I started going up and up and up and up, all the way until 2020, which is everybody's favorite year, because guess what happened? COVID, this little spider-looking virus came and ruined the whole world. And then we all had a big, I think almost everyone had a big downward spiral. For me, that meant that I was graduating from Harvard in a pandemic. They told us to leave the university. So then I flew back to Sri Lanka. And then I don't know if you all remember, but Sri Lanka had travel restrictions. And in the US, how it works is that if you have this visa to work after you graduate, but you have to start working within 3 months of your graduation. Hello. Sorry, I think I had a connection issue. I'm so sorry that I kept you guys waiting, but everybody can hear me now, right? Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, basically, COVID happened and I was back in Sri Lanka. I was stuck here. I couldn't start working in the US. And then I turned things around in October of 2020 when I was like, okay, I'm in Sri Lanka. What can I do? And I started my PhD in medical physics at Colombo University, which is still currently what I'm doing. I'm almost done. I'm writing my thesis. I'm almost Dr. Ursula, but I won't make you all call me that. You can call me Ursula. Yeah, so here's where I am now. And I have no idea where the rest of my life is going to go. But I think that all the twists and turns in my journey has helped me realize my purpose, right? It is that I love physics. I love doing physics. I love being a mathematician, but I want to be able to use that to directly impact people's lives, which is why I'm doing medical physics right now. My research is on CT scans, radiation doses, making it safer for patients. Yeah, so I figured out my purpose by looking at all of the journeys and twists and turns in my life. And that is what I would like you all to do. Now, while I was telling you all that story, I hope some of you were able to think about your own story. Is there anyone who would like to share? You don't have to share your whole story like I did. I was just sharing that so that you also had some time to think about your own during that time. You can share just one twist or turn, one big achievement, one big failure, one big whatever. Does anybody want to share? Guys, if you don't talk, I'm going to have to start cold calling you. I see Ramit, if I'm saying your name right. Ramit, do you want to share some moment in your life, some turning point or something in your life path story that might contribute to figuring out your purpose? Uh, Hiruni? Oh no, people are leaving. Also, මට සිංහල තේරෙනවා සිංහලෙන් කතා කරන්න ඕන නම් like we can also you can give me your answers in Sinhala. Tamil konjam theriyum. So micham ela. But if you want to try to share something in Sinhala or Tamil, we will. That's okay. Um, you don't have to share in English if that's what you're worried about. Okay, so Mr. Kodagama has shared saying that his big achievement was starting winning at competitions and going to the prize giving and an award ceremony each year. So that's good. See, so something like that, figuring out that you like, doing well and winning at these competitions can give you motivation to keep doing better, right? So even if it seems like a small thing, it actually is shaping who you are as a person, because then you'll start working harder because now you came to this prize giving, you want to go to the next prize giving as well, or next award ceremony as well. So even the smallest thing, even if it's something like, my cousin moved out of the country and that was a turning point, or some small thing. If anybody else wants to share, maybe we'll have one other person sharing something about their life path story. Oh, I'm so sorry. That's really hard. Mr. Godegam has also shared that a big down was getting to know that his father is suffering from cancer. I mean, he got over it the first time. I'm sure he's a strong man. We'll all be praying for him to get out of it soon. I hope that he's, figured out a treatment plan. Yeah, you have all of our support. Does anybody else want to share something? Thank you for sharing that. Okay. Can we have one more person just share one small thing? I would really love it if you all speak, this fear factor of speaking up. I really want you all to let go of it, because you are all in this session because you thought that the lead with purpose module is something that you want to learn about, right? You all want to be leaders. And there's so many times where we go around saying, oh, my teacher doesn't believe in me, my sister doesn't believe in me, my mother doesn't believe in me. But the biggest person that has to believe in you is yourself. You have to believe in yourself that you can be a good leader, that you can do great things, that you can achieve your goals. And part of believing in yourself is making sure that you have the confidence to speak up. This is a forum where I would love to hear as many voices as possible. So believe in yourself, speak up, say a couple of words, say it in Sinhala, say it in Tamil, but engage, guys. It would be, as if you want to be leaders in the future, you need to be someone who puts yourself out there and shares things. You can do it. Neha says she's an active participant at MUN Club and have won many competitions. That's great. I love MUN. I used to do it at school as well. I was too young to do it when I was at HFC, but then I did it when I was at Moyer and I did it at Harvard. I organized MUN conferences in Boston and in China as part of some of the extracurricular activities I did at Harvard. So extracurriculars are great. If you want to do well in life, you need to be able to focus on multiple things at the same time. It teaches you discipline. It teaches you, so many things, how to manage your time. It gives you an outlet when you're, too focused on thinking about one thing, right? Okay, so others, I hope you'll speak up for the later parts of the session, but I'm going to continue because I would love to finish up whatever I wanted to share with you all before the session ends. So yeah, thanks for sharing parts of your stories, Neha and Mr. Kodagama. This is a little to what we already spoke about, but so here it is. Most leaders find the purpose of their leadership emanates from their life story. By understanding the meaning of key events in your life and reframing them, you can determine your leadership purpose. So that is why I think it's important to think about your life story. Most leaders find the purpose of their leadership emanates from their life story. It's so important for you when you're deciding how you want to live your life, what goals you want to set for yourself, what you want to achieve during your life. You have to set yourself, you have to understand yourself and your values and what's important to you before you decide anything else. So it's how you understand yourself through your story that makes your life. Leaders who have reflected on their stories understand with people, highs and lows of their approach to the world. What can you learn from your own life story? Find a story. Understand of your early lives. You can reframe your understanding of your life and shape your leadership. So think about it. Even if you weren't able to think about it during this session, I would love for you to think about it at some point after this session, right? Going forward in your life, you will meet so many people and you'll have teams. You'll even at school, you have your teams, right? Sharing your stories with each other, you help to build so much empathy. I'm sure that some of you, when I started this session, didn't really connect with me. But when you heard me share my stories, my ups and my downs, everything that I went through, not that this is everything that I've been through in my life, there's been so much more that I'm not sharing with you all yet. But no, I feel like you might be able to understand me a little bit better after I share that story, right? So it's an exercise that you can do if you're ever in a position where you're leading a team as well. If it's a long-term team where you're working together for a year or some big project, try this exercise. Ask everyone to share their life path story so that you can understand them better. That'll make you feel closer to each other. You can have empathy, and then they're more likely to listen to you. It'll be easier to lead them. It'll be easier to understand them when they have problems. It's a great exercise. Okay, so why did I decide to talk about this life path story at this specific juncture in your life? I think it's because it's a time in your life where you're thinking about the next step, right? You're thinking about your future, you're planning what you really want to do, what you're thinking about your universities, what you want to do as your A-level subjects, where you see yourself in like 5 or 10 years, right? So I think it's very important to reflect on your life before you move on to the next step, right? Okay, next. So now we've all heard, like you've heard my story, we've heard a couple of people's significant events in their life. And at all of these points in your life, there's always going to be other people, right? There'll be your parents, your teachers, your friends, your neighbors, your relatives, your cousins, whoever it is that had a significant impact on your life. They helped you in some way, or they taught you a lesson, or maybe they did the opposite, maybe they put you down in some way. And that's how you learned a lesson, or that's how you became stronger, right? These are people that have changed your life. And there's something very important that I would like, a really important video that I would like to share with you all. So I'm going to share that now. Let's see. Give me 1 second, guys. And it's about gratitude. It's a quick video, something interesting that you can watch without just listening to me talk the whole time. Oh, actually, I'm going to have to share it with audio. Just there we go. Okay. Let's see.
Shut up.
What? Wait, wait.
Oh, it's gonna be so embarrassed.
makes you happy? Having fun? Hanging out with friends? Delicious food? Making money? Well, consider this. Psychologists have scientifically proven that one of the greatest contributing factors to overall happiness in your life is how much gratitude you show. Yeah? Think about that. Go ahead and marinate on it for a second. You can thank me later if you want. It'll make you feel better according to this study. You go ahead and click on it and read it if you want. Or you can keep watching because we read it and we thought it might be fun to test out for ourselves. We gathered a selection of volunteers to act as our subjects. First, we gave them a test. They didn't know what we were looking for, but it gave us a pretty good idea of their current level of happiness. We asked them to close their eyes and think of somebody who was really influential in their life, somebody who did something really amazing or important for them. We had them write down as much as they could about why this person was so important. Now, a lot of them thought at this point the experiment was over, until we really put them on the spot and tried to get them to call that person and read what they wrote about them. Thank you, Jessica. We're gonna have you call your mother. So who is that right person for you?
Person is my sister, Erica.
We're gonna give Erica a call.
Okay.
Who'd you end up picking?
Friend of mine, Craig Ains.
Her name is Dora.
My college accounting instructor.
Really? Is this somebody you're still in touch with today?
No, I'm assuming that he's passed on.
That's a
To
shame.
the great beyond.
You up for it?
Yes.
What would you say if we called up Dora?
Oh, we can try, but she lives in Britain.
In Britain?
I don't know number by heart, dude. This is awful.
That's fine. I don't know my mom's number by heart.
If it's true that those who are going on are looking down on us, maybe he read my chicken scratch.
Hey, sweetheart.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
You got a second? Where you at, in the hotel?
I am. I'm in the hotel. You scared me when you asked if I had a second if something's wrong.
No, I'm on like this little TV show, and they told me to talk about the person that influenced me the most, and I picked you, and they're making me call. They're making me call you.
Oh, wonderful.
Hi, you've reached Craig. I'm not here right now.
At the tone, please record your message.
Oh, come on.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi.
Erica, it's me.
All right, so I got to read you this paragraph. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead,
All right.
sweetheart.
All right. The person that influenced me the most would be my mother, Marlo Dawson. She is a single mother of 2. She is a very hard worker and dedicated to her family.
Hey, Craig. This is Chloe. So I hope you enjoy it.
I'm so sorry for calling you at 4 o'clock.
I have to read this to you, okay? And you can't say anything, or I don't know. You can respond, but I probably will just keep going. Okay?
Is everything okay?
Yes, but I have to read this out loud to you.
The person who has had the biggest impact on my life outside of Jesus Christ, who is responsible for my existence, was my college accounting instructor. He had a joy and enthusiasm for his job like no other teacher I have ever known.
I love her to death, and she keeps me going with positive talk. She is a woman that knows what she wants and won't give up until it is achieved.
Oh, something. I don't know what. I'm about to cry because that's so beautiful. I have to say that's just wonderful.
I first met Craig on an independent feature film set in Whitefish, Montana. I recently have been sending Craig a lot of positive thoughts as he suffered a series of health problems. Despite his medical problems, he's continued to work and take pleasure in the small things in life, like sitting quietly with his wife Janine on the porch.
Erica is my older sister and my best friend. Sometimes it even feels like we're twins. She's my #1 fan and my #1 me happy because despite all my mistakes and my discs, still loves me no matter what.
Your friendship is everything. And you're the most important person in my life.
Even when she has a kid and many children, I will love her more than her kids. Okay, maybe not. I will never forget when she flew a phone call to save me from a breakup.
And being blessed by having a son like you. I love you.
Bye.
Why did you do that to me?
I don't know because they made me do it.
Thank you for picking up. Bye, sweetie.
And then they're like, here, you're gonna write this letter. And then I wrote like this whole long ass letter, which, you know, I like don't write. And then all of a sudden they're like, hey, guess what? Now we're going to call her and you're going to read her this letter. And I was like, what the
Before we let them go, we gave our subjects one more happiness test. Now, we mixed up and rephrased the questions so they didn't know they were taking the same test twice. For those who took the time to actually write something down but couldn't make the phone call for whatever reason, we saw happiness increase between 2 and 4%. Good, but not exactly mind-blowing. Now, for those who actually picked up the phone and personally expressed their gratitude, we saw increases between 4 and 19%. So either way, expressing your gratitude will make you a happier person. But you want to know something really interesting? The person who experienced the biggest jump in happiness was the least happy person who walked in the door. What does that mean? That means if you're having a particularly tough time, trying this out will more likely have a greater impact on you. Trust me, I'm in a lab coat. In fact, while you're at it, film it and upload it to us, and we'll do something awesome with it. I'm Julian, and this has been The Science of Happiness.
Okay, so that was a little bit about the importance of showing gratitude to the people that have, had an impact on your life. The learning from this video is the power of gratitude. How many of we actually share the gratitude with the people that have a positive impact in our lives? Our parents, our teachers, whoever it is. How many of us go up to our parents and be like, Mama and Dada, like, I'm here because of you. Everything that I am is from what you've taught me, or because of the lessons that I've learned through you. So after this session ends, one thing I want you all to think about your life story. I know this is like homework. I haven't been in school for a long time, so I don't remember the feeling, but I'm sure you all do. But yeah, just think about your life path story and then express gratitude to one person. It'll make you happier. It's scientifically proven. A guy in a lab coat said that to you, right? So just give them a call or go up to them, write down a letter first, thanking them for something, and then read it to them, or give them a call and tell them. I just think that if you make gratitude a part of your story, a part of your life, that will create wonders. Being a person who shows gratitude and appreciates people will have a huge impact on how you are as a leader and your leadership style as well. So make a call and express your gratitude. And the next thing, the last little thing that we want to think about before we get to the purpose part, which is the main part, it will only take 2 minutes. 5 things that are important to you in your life. Is it freedom? Is it adventure? Is it money? Is it family? Is it friends? Is it success? Is it failure? Is it love? This is something very easy. There are 14 people in this group, in this meeting right now. Can all 14 of you just pick 5 things and send me on the chat? Hope you will all take a moment to type down 5 things that are important to you as well. Does everybody know what you have to do? Just take a minute to type down the 5 things that are important to you and send it on the chat. I've gotten messages from 2 people. Anybody else? Okay, I'll give you 1 more minute because I want to be mindful of time as well. Please share 5 things that are important to you. It's your own, there's no right or wrong answers. You know, whatever you say, you can send it to me privately so that nobody else can see it. Or you can share it so that everyone can see it. Just 5 things. It can be, you know, gratitude. I should have written gratitude. I look like an actress. Thank you, I guess. I don't know if there's anyone that looks like me who's an actress. I don't think so. But I will take that as a compliment. But if you had time to type that, you can type me the 5 things that are important to you. Mr. I'm not going to say your name because I don't want you to feel embarrassed, but please send me 5 things that are important to you. Okay, you guys can think about that, but really do think about it, guys, because that is really something that's thinking about what's important to you is very important as you try to figure out your purpose. So let's move on. Now that we've thought about, I hope we have all thought about the 5 things that are important to you. Let's move on to the big question of this session, which is, what is your purpose? This word purpose is such an overused, hacked word, right? People talk about it all the time. If you guys are on LinkedIn, you'll be seeing so many LinkedIn posts about it. A lot of them, you know, made by ChatGPT now, because that's what everybody does. They copy paste things from ChatGPT and put it on LinkedIn. If you're on Instagram or Facebook, you'll see so many reels of all these people who are successful being talking about their purpose, right? But in a very simple way, when you think about purpose, really what it is your why. Why do you do something? Why do you wake up in the morning? Why are you happy to do this? Why do you want to do it in the first place? So that's in a sense what purpose is. So find your why, detect your purpose. It's easier said than done, right? So how do we actually do it? You can change how you navigate the world. You can change what you do, but you can't change who you are. Who you are is who you are, right? Your story defines who you are. So you detect your purpose from your story. So now we all understand why I told you all to think about your life path story and think about all the ups and downs and all the twists and turns in your life, right? You can't change who you are, and your story defines who you are. So you can use your story to figure out what your purpose is. Once you figure that out, you can lead with purpose. Use your story. Think about your story. Think about all the ups and downs. What has it led you? What has it taught you? What has now become important to you in your life because of everything that you've been through in your life, right? Why do you do what you do? Ask yourself. Now, every day you get up, you guys are, you know, post-A-level students. Maybe you're not planning on doing your A-levels. Maybe you are planning on doing your A-levels. But up until this point, every day you woke up and you went to school. We all studied, you know, we went to school and we all studied. Maybe some of you didn't want to do it. Maybe you did it because your parents wanted you to do it and you had to do it, and that was the social norm. But either way, all of us have goals in life, right? We all want to achieve something. We all have a dream. We want to become something. So why do you get out of bed in the morning, and why should anybody care about it, right? How can we wake up in the morning with happiness and excitement rather than be like, oh no, oh God, today I have to go to school again. Today I have to go to class again. Today I have to do this, you know? What makes you different from, what takes you from that point of, oh no, to, yeah, today I'm going to work more on this. Today I'm going to achieve this, you know? How do we understand our purpose so that every morning when you wake up, you feel excited and, you know, anticipating what you're planning for your life, right? It's one of life's greatest joys to wake up in the morning, every morning, with a clear sense of why the day matters, why every day matters. This is what it means to find your why. It's the start of an inspiring journey, and it's your personal inspiring journey. So now there's this thing called the golden circle that will help you understand your purpose and understand your why. It's all about thinking inside out. It's a 5-minute video, and I'm going to quickly show you guys. Please bear with me. I'll try not to go over time. I will be doing my best not to go over time. I think we should be able to still manage. Okay, let's go. Share.
The why was born out of pain. It was never an academic or commercial exercise. It was born out of a time in my life, many years ago, 10 years ago, where I had lost my passion for what I was doing. I owned my own small business. I was living the American dream. Superficially, my life was fantastic. And yet, I didn't want to wake up and do it again. And I was embarrassed by that. You know, who am I to complain about my life? My life seemed perfect, and yet I hated it. And so I kept it to myself. Every ounce of my being, all the energy that I had was invested in pretending that I was happier, more successful, and more in control than I felt. And it was debilitating, quite frankly. Strange things start to happen when you put yourself in that cycle and the stress starts to build. You start to become paranoid. So for example, I was convinced that my employees hated me. I didn't go out much, and it was really a bad time. And it wasn't until a friend of mine came to me concerned that I wasn't acting myself and basically offered me nothing more than moral support. Whatever you need, I got your back, I'm worried about you. And it was that simple act that gave me the courage to face my own problem. And it was that simple act that gave me the courage to seek out a solution, to go back to the way I used to feel, to be passionate about something again. There was a confluence of events. And I made this discovery that every single organization on the planet, even our own careers, always function on the same 3 levels: what we do, how we do it, and why we do it. And it was based on the biology of human decision making. It wasn't some highfalutin management theory. It was based on brain stuff. And I realized I knew what I did. I was good at it. And I knew how I did it. I could tell you what was different or special about the way I did things, but I couldn't tell you why I was doing it. That was the missing piece. You have to have all 3. I became obsessed with this thing called the why. I figured out how to find my why, and it restored my passion to levels I had never experienced before. And more importantly, I figured out how to help others find theirs. And I did what anyone would do. When you discover something beautiful, you share it with your friends. And my friends started making crazy life changes themselves. And they started finding happiness and passion that they'd never experienced before. It was me solving my own problem that happened to help others solve it for them too. And people just kept inviting me, and I just kept saying yes. I was making huge decisions that were really easy to make. Like I shut down my office and started over again because I realized the business I had built was so inconsistent with my why. All my friends thought I went out of business and they were worried about me. It was the easiest decision I ever made. In other words, when you know your why, the filter is clear. It's not like there are options. The option is obvious. There's only one option: share, give, inspire. And everything that I've achieved, any success that I've enjoyed, has all been 100% because of the gracious, just amazing generosity of people around me. My friends and my colleagues, people who just believe what I believe. They're the ones who either introduced me to others or took a risk or said, let me try that, or bought a book or watched a TED Talk, or more importantly, sent it to somebody else because they thought they would be inspired by it. For all of the things that I've done over the past decade, I still feel like I'm at the beginning. I've been saying it for 10 years. When everybody says to me, congratulations on X, Y, or Z, my answer is always the same: tip of the iceberg. And I think that's what keeps me inspired, which is, for me, it's a journey. I'm on the right path. I'm walking past the right mile markers. In other words, I know I'm making progress to the vision that I have to build this world in which the vast majority of people wake up every single morning, inspired to go to work, feel safe when they're there, returning home at the end of the day, fulfilled by the work that they do. When I started the race, I ran by myself. And it's lonely, lonely, lonely. And now I got like 1,000 people to the left and 1,000 people to the right and 1,000 people behind me. And I look around, I'm like, yep, we're gonna change the world. We're gonna change the world. There you go.
So there you go. It's pretty simple. It's not about what you're doing or how you're doing it. It's always about why you're doing it. All right. So that is the whole point of this whole idea of purpose, right? The why. So there's a very simple way in which you can figure out your why. It's called drafting and refining this why statement. It's this methodology that we've seen to be very successful. You have to make it as simple and clear as possible and as actionable as possible. Focus it on the effects that you'll have on others, affirmative language, and eventually your why statement will have this format: to do something so that I achieve this, deciding, what subjects to choose for A-levels, deciding what to do after school, after you graduate. Everything becomes simple once you have your why statement, because the options don't matter. What you should be doing is whatever decision or whatever option brings you closer to fulfilling your why. So really, it's not about all these thousands of different choices. It's about figuring out what's important to you, what's your purpose, and then everything else will fall into place. It'll be so easy for you to decide what's important to you, what do you have to do, what's the next step, right? So that's the biggest takeaway from this session. I hope that's a takeaway that you will all take with you. Here's a little way of thinking about it. The theme could be supporting others or pushing boundaries. So to contribute something, to do this so that people feel this, so people understand this, so everyone gets this. That's the format. So take a moment after this session to do that. It's one small sentence. It's a tiny sentence that will change your life, honestly, if you take a moment to do that. So every one of us has a why, a deep-seated purpose, cause or belief that is the source of our passion and our inspiration. That is why you wake up every day. That's why you're excited to get things done. That's why it matters, and that's why other people should care about it as well, right? So if you think about these big companies, these big brands, things like Airbnb, they have the same format, to blank, so that blank. Airbnb is to connect millions of people in real life all over the world through a community marketplace so that you can belong anywhere. Microsoft, to empower every person and every organization on the planet so that they can achieve more. Google, to organize the world's information and make it to organize the world's information so that it is universally accessible and useful. So simple. And most of these big organizations, they're brands. And most of their why statements are just the why statement of the person who founded that brand. It's Google's why statement is the founder of Google's why statement. So think of yourself as a brand, right? Ursula, the brand, Neha, the brand, Shanulya, the brand, Kasun, the brand, Prabhat, your brand, Ramit, your brand, right? Think about you as a brand. What would your why statement be? If you take anything out of today's session with me, I hope that you take this, try to build your why statement, make it a two so that, and then every other decision now that you're at this big important junction in your life where all the decisions you make will kind of, not necessarily, but it might impact what you do for the rest of your life, right? Not saying that you can't change your mind, and not saying that these why statements won't change over time as well, right? You can make a why statement today, and then in the next few years, you can be refining it and changing it. So when I, first went to Harvard, I wanted to do this fully theoretical physics research. We were working with atoms, ultra-cold molecules. It was literally like individual molecules was what I was working with at my first lab, and I was so happy there. I was on the up and up, right? My life path story was showing you like I was going up, when I was working with atoms, and then something changed, right? Some big life event happened, some big turn of events. And then my why statement changed. So I know that it's 7 p.m. now, and thankfully I was able to finish right on time. I can stick around for a little bit longer if anybody has any questions. It can be related to leading with purpose. It can be related to the why. It can be related to building your life path story. But please remember, I really just want you to do 3 things and take 3 things from this session. 1, think about your life path story, map it out, maybe put it up in your room so that you can look at it. If you're having a hard time, think about all the other hard times that you got over. Think about all the lessons that you learned from them. Use it as inspiration or motivation for where you want to go in the future. 2, learn to practice gratitude. Today or tomorrow, tonight, write a small letter to your mom or your dad or your sister or your boyfriend or girlfriend or whoever it is that you're most grateful for, and tell them about it. I promise you, you will feel so much happier when you do. It's true that you feel happier when you express gratitude. And 3, that short sentence, to blank so that blank. Find your purpose, and it will make everything else in all the decisions in your life easier. It will make leading easier. It will make you a bit more empathetic leader. And that's all that I have to say, guys. Any questions or any comments? Okay, we have a question. How to concentrate on work when doing something, all the problems are coming into my mind. Okay. This is interesting because I think different people have different methods of dealing with, figuring out how to focus. personally, for me, as a former athlete, I work out. And I think that while I'm working out, I just get so tired. I get all of my frustrations out. And then I feel like, it's a clean state and I can start again. I've seen online that there are people who, I don't know if you've seen this, but like they study or they memorize things while using their other hand to like scribble on pieces of paper. A part of your brain is being used to like focus on that scribble and the other part you're using to study. So like I've seen that it works with some people. It's similar to the stress ball thing. There was a time a few years ago when everyone was using stress balls, and because squeezing that stress ball, you're using a part of your motor function while also trying to use your memory function so that you're not thinking about too many other things. That's a little bit of a scientific approach to it. I'm sorry, I can't give you a specific answer. You just have to figure out what works for you. Just do the post where you have loads of time to experience things and learn lessons. Don't worry. Any other questions? Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to share my email address in the chat. If anybody has any questions about this session, please feel free to reach out to me. This session that I did called Lead with Purpose is part of our Future Leader module programs that we do. As the Ivy Future Leader Academy, we have full leadership programs, 5 weeks long. I'm the program manager, so while I do one of the sessions, I will be there for all of them. And all of our mentors are from Ivy League university, so just like me, but older and with more experience. So we have Harvard alumni, Yale alumni, Princeton, Columbia, all these impressive alumni from all over the world. Some Sri Lankan, some are not, conducting these sessions. So it's leadership mentorship that we do with the Ivy Future Leader Academy. If you want to learn more, we have a website that also I'm sending on the chat. Go there, you can find out more details. Email me, you can find out more details. But I must say, if you join those sessions, you're going to be forced to talk, because that's the only way you learn, is through interacting, is through back and forth, through actually absorbing what's happening, answering questions like what are your 5 important things that are important to you, right? So with that, thank you all for showing up. Thanks for making time. Thank you